Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be switching gears a little bit, and instead of talking about old trucks and fixing things up, we're actually going to talk about something a little bit more exciting, and that is the 4th gen GM F-body cars. And that consisted of the 93 to 2002 Chevy Camaro and the Pontiac Trans Am. Today we're going to solely be talking mostly about this Trans Am since I have it right here in front of me. But we're going to take it for a drive, and I want to just kind of discuss a few things about why I think these are so special. So it's a beautiful fall day here today. Let's go for a nice drive. So what's it like being behind the wheel of one of these 4th gens? Well, that's where it gets a little bit more exciting. That's why I feel these are one of the best sports cars you can buy nowadays. It's incredibly tame. The handling, it's perfect. It's got a great ride. It's not too rough. This one here is a 6-speed, so you get that feel of everything that the car wants to do. Another one of the perks of these cars is I'm doing 60 miles an hour right now, and I'm only revving at about 1,300 RPMs. The 6-speed really helps with that, of course, but this thing gets 26 miles to the gallon, if not better sometimes. Now, build quality of these cars, that was probably not their most important item on their agenda. It's plasticky. You get a lot of, I wouldn't say creaks, but you go over a couple of bumps, you definitely know that it's, I wouldn't say cheap plastic, but it's plastic. There's a lot of dark plastic in this car. And now that these things are over 20 years old now, and a lot of them had T-tops, you start seeing a lot of that black plastic fade into gray. But you get one that's been maintained most of its life, been in the garage. This one here, you know, obviously has been garaged its whole life. It still feels brand new in here. The seats are nice. They're soft. You know, unfortunately, that's not going to be said for all of them, but you know, the quality is still there. It's just, you know, there's nothing that moans. You don't feel the chassis twisting or anything like that when you go to put it in a corner at a high speed. But it is kind of Jeep feeling, but that almost adds to the character of it. It feels light. You get into a new Camaro nowadays, and just, it's fun. Don't get me wrong, but it feels heavy. This feels super light, and it is. They're just over 3,000 pounds compared to a new Camaro that's, I don't know, what are they, 13 tons now with all their safety equipment? I mean, this has airbags in the front. What more do you need? I'd rather have power than airbags, but apparently that's not the new in thing. I mean, sure, it only has 325 horses, but you feel every one of them. It's just fun. It's just fun.
another reason why I think these are just cool. It's just, they have style. You've got all these cool body lines. You got some vents in the fender. This hood is just, like I showed you before, is just something else. There's a giant wing on the back. Of course, this applies for the Trans Ams and the Firebirds. But the Camaros were equally just as sleek looking, just a little less toned down. Experience. These things are actually a lot of fun to drive. And there's a couple of things I didn't mention in the video. I touched on the handling a little bit, but these things actually handle really good. And it's not too jarring of a ride. The 3rd gens are kind of known for a little bit more of a harsh ride. These are pretty soft, and you can drive them comfortably every day if you wanted to. The other thing I haven't mentioned is the braking. So the brakes on these are actually pretty good, considering these brakes right here are nearly a quarter of a century old. They do exactly what they're supposed to do. They don't smoke when you stomp on the brakes. These cars are built to be driven. That's what makes it kind of exciting. There's nothing like this that you can buy nowadays for $10,000–$15,000 that gets you this kind of excitement. In fact, when this car was built, the slogan for Pontiac was driving excitement. And that's what this car really is. It really represented that incredibly well. They're fun to drive, they're efficient, they're quiet if you want them to, of course. There is a ton of aftermarket opportunity for these things, anywhere from exhaust, suspension, brakes. Of course, this one being an LS, there is all sorts of stuff. It's an endless book of parts that you can buy for that engine. You can bump these things up to, well, just about any horsepower you wanted to. This one being 323 was more than enough to push this car around, but you definitely had some opportunity to boost that up to 900 horsepower if you really wanted to. But the other cool thing is the styling. The styling of these, like I said, there's just kind of nothing like that in this price point. Now, granted, you could get a Porsche if you wanted to, but you're going to be spending $60,000, $70,000. And to me, I almost feel like this gets more attention than something like that, because if you were just driving a plain Carrera around, I mean, to me, and I know there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with this, to me, it looked like a 2000 Ford Taurus. This actually turned some heads. So that was just kind of my view on these 4th gen F-body cars. And like I said, there's a different, they've got all sorts of different variations if you wanted something to collect or if you wanted something to drive every day and enjoy it. That's what these cars, like I said before, were built for. So with that, I hope you really enjoyed this video. Please feel free to like, subscribe, comment if you have any questions down below. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. And hopefully we get a few more days and some good weather, and I've got a few more cars to show. With that, take care, and we'll talk soon.